everyone. It's Pete here for the Pain Toolkit, and thanks very much for joining us for another Pain Toolkit conversations. We've got some really nice people with us tonight, and we're going to be talking about a couple of things really that will be coming up. So I just want to say good evening, Grainne. Good morning, Mary. Good evening,
Morning.
Virginia. Is it afternoon for you, Jerry?
It's damn near happy hour. Let's put it that way, Pete. Yeah, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon here,
Oh
so
yeah,
just
good
about happy
afternoon to
hour.
you, and good evening to you, Dave. So listen, we've got some special stuff coming up really, and I thought it'd be useful. I was going to break it up into a couple of 45 minutes sessions really, and I don't know about you guys, but there going, things are really changing in pain management land. And the reason why I say that is that I just feel it. There's an underlying current coming along. There's a lot more people now getting involved with self-management. There's a lot more courses, availability for people living with persistent pain, etc. And but I think there's still that stumbling block. There is still that stumbling block um where it's those that is the actual decision makers. I think here we call them the commissioners, who commission healthcare. And I think Keith told me the other day they call it over there in Canada. They call them policy makers, and I'm
Yeah.
guessing in America, Jerry, they got their insurance companies. So I suppose in Australia, the insurance companies. But it's
Australia is just politicians.
yeah, only politicians, yeah. So I think yeah, it's that. Oh, I mean, I've been struggling with this question for many, many years. Is how do we get the commissioners involved, policymakers? How do we get them? Is it there? They haven't got the experience. They don't understand. They don't understand the importance of supporting, getting people to support themselves, or where that teamwork effort, where there's that teamwork between the healthcare professional and the patient, um, uh, or just general making self-management available, commissioning self-management concepts, workshops, online courses, face-to-face courses, etc. Because where whatever I see now in healthcare around the world, it's under pressure. There aren't enough healthcare. If you're going to go down that
Mm.
route of healthcare professionals seeing people on a one-to-one basis and stuff like that for pain management, it's it's not realistic. There isn't a terracotta army of healthcare providers to 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 see people on a one-to-one basis or being gay. See us still trying to manage us in a medical model route. And to me, I'm not saying it's about we got to let go of people and stuff like that, but well, for me, it's about giving people the skills and tools, and most importantly, the confidence to manage their pain themselves. But how do we get to those dudes? I mean, we tried it already with the. I thought we had a foot in the door with the World Health Organization, and I've since I sent that proposal to them guys about this time last year. Actually, I've approached a guy who asked for it several times now in over the 12 months, and he's just not answered. Just ignored me really. So, um, what are we doing? What are we missing? What do we need to do? So I thought it'd be if we start off the first 45 minutes with how do we get to people, like what's is there I mean I've written to as you know, we've got a new government here, and I wrote to his name's West Streeting, and I wrote to him. I sent it recorded, so I know it's arrived. I wrote to the lady at the Department of Health, who's one of the decision makers, the CMO there. No, I didn't get a reply. I sent them both information about the importance of pain self-management, but I didn't get no replies at all. So that's where it gets a bit frustrating, you know. You're thinking, well, what? And yet all they want to do is, I just feel to me they seem to be throwing things at the wall, hoping that things will stick, like, you know, where the underlying problem is that we need to get, if you want to ease up on the healthcare services, is to get people more involved in their health, etc. I mean, we did that years ago, you know, when Mum and Dad used to teach us how to brush our teeth, like, you know. That's what really self-management's about. It's about getting people to what can they do for themselves, like they become so anchored in to healthcare, the medical model, as I call it, that they seem to be frozen in time, that they seem to be reluctant to do things, you know, with, oh, I don't know about that, I'm gonna have to check with the doctor first, or check with the, you know, when I'm talking to people, they say, well, I'm not really sure about that, you know, and it's still, you know, their medication is still their best buddy. I'm not saying that medication, you have to kick the medication stuff route or whatever, but it's about, you know, just getting involved, doing some meaningful movement, um, you know, learning some self-management skills, etc. So anyway, so is there a secret back door? I don't know. How do we engage with those people so we can change opinions and change attitudes, get their decision makers to become decision makers of making, as I call it, making self-care your first choice and not your last resort. So I'm gonna have a cup of tea now.
Hmm. So I, just as you were saying that, I think there's two things for me. It's basically what's motivating those decision makers. So in the UK, the thing that's motivating them is how they can save money. I don't know if that would be the same motivation in other countries where there's more insurance-based stuff. I don't know if it's quite the same, but obviously the NHS costs the government in the UK billions and billions and billions of pounds each year. So what motivates them about what treatments they offer and what they support and encourage is how it's going to save them money, how it's going to be more efficient. And somehow they you know, they're really hot on things like, you know, heart disease, get everybody on statins. I may be overly grossly generalizing here, I'm not a heart disease expert, but you know, that thing of where, you know, everybody's on statins, you're wanting to get everybody tested for their diabetes. There's things in GP practices test people for that. There's incentives to the GP practices to do things like that because they're looking at obesity and heart disease and diabetes as being the things that are costing the NHS more money. And whether it's because it's not cool and trendy or whether it's not, you know, the people out there who work in it, it's not seen as a glamorous thing, or it's seen as a hidden thing, but there's not that thing of actually chronic pain and the disability related to chronic pain and the other things that it causes, because chronic pain can result in problems with obesity and heart conditions and everything else because people are getting more and more active, and actually, but they're not recognizing that as the thing that if you can improve people's general health by getting them engaged in it, you can save money in the long run. But to do that, you've got to invest in probably stuff that takes maybe quite a lot of time, because you've got to build up that relationship with people and get them, you know, get that population changing and getting them wanting to change. So it's not, you know, giving everybody a statin is a fairly quick fix. I think, again, gross generalization, not a cardiologist, but, you know, it's very easy to just prescribe people a statin. It takes a bit more time and a bit more effort to, you know, you've got to pump money in now to save the money in the long run with self-management, and there's no money now or no extra money now. So in the UK, I think that's the hard sell for us, is the fact that we want to show how actually we could be more efficient and save them money, but it's how do we demonstrate that? But I don't know if people think that would be the same in the healthcare systems that they work in, or whether there's a different motivation to try and get in. Yeah. What do you think, Mary?
I can't find the raise hand button. I don't know where it's gone. Over here, we've got a split system. As some of you might know, we've got a public system and a privately insured system. The public system seems to do quite well, at least where I live it does. The public hospitals run some very good pain management programs that are basically self-management. They're educational, and they teach them how to pace, how to set goals, and how to do all that. So that works really well. Because we get a lot of those people in our groups afterwards because they get recommended to us, and we can see what they've learned, and then we go on with it and we sort of, continue it. So that works quite well, and I do believe it works interstate as well, although I'm not really up with exactly what goes on in every state. The private sector, not so much. It's more interventional. Like if you come to me, I'll stick an injection into you, or a spinal cord implant, or one of those kind of, full on intervention, shall we say. So I think the answer lies in education, both of health professionals and the general community. No one seems to know much about health at all these days. I think it needs to start in schools. I mean, how you bring that off, I don't know. I've been talking to someone about this in the last few days, and I think bite-sized pieces each week in one tiny lesson, by the time they leave school, they've got the basics. Because I can still remember we did it at school. Some very astute teacher taught us a thing called health and hygiene. Now, what it was basic health facts. And we did it for a year, and I still remember a lot of the things that we were taught then. And that's what they were, basic health facts. So that's one way. But I mean, we probably can't actually manage to pull that off. But I think that's one answer. Nobody knows anything. And the only other way is if you happen to have a politician who has chronic pain, or a relative that does. We had a health minister in New South Wales once who had chronic pain, and she gave them 27 million over 4 years for research and chronic pain activities, like a gold mine it was.
That's interesting. I don't think we can legitimately go out and cause any politicians chronic pain, though. I think there might be
no.
No,
and if they do, they're probably not a politician, because they probably don't have the energy to become one.
I'm interested to hear what other people think about the idea of general population. Is general population health literacy going down in one sense, while on the other hand, there's ever more and more and more online information from health gurus and natural health people and exercise specialists and everybody else, who all have their own opinion as to this is your health hack. And actually, is it more that people are more and more confused about actually what's the right information for me, what's true, what's not true? Somebody's saying this seed oils are awfully bad for you, they're the worst thing in the world, and then somebody else is saying you should only eat meat and that'll make you healthy. You're all overweight because you're eating everything other than eggs. My algorithms on Instagram are a bit random sometimes, and you kind of think if you don't have a basic, depending on what your basic level about health science is, actually that can all get even more confusing as to what the right things to do are. And do people trust healthcare professionals as much as they used to give them good quality information?
I'll chime in. I think there's a few things there. I think you talked about the cardiac disease, and we talked about the diseases. I think for the politicians is they can do more for those things immediately. Pain is complex, and lack of knowledge of it. I mean, this is such great timing to have this conversation. I just met with an MLA the other day, one of our local politicians. Again, there's new government in here, We sent an email, we sent an official letter off from Pain Canada and other community members to our new premier. We haven't heard back, but I did meet the MLA, and this is the fifth one I've met with, and really wasn't going to. It was one of the people from our support groups who said, let's do this. I'm like, yeah, okay. I think we are complex. She wants to learn more what other provinces are doing. Nova Scotia is behind, really legs behind the other provinces in Canada. I mean, the federal government got money to look at pain, but your federal government is different than your provincial, and they can't tell them what to do. So you've got some provincial people that are doing something, but I think we look at us, and I consider us all pain champions, but we need a pain champion who is in politics. We need a pain champion who's in healthcare. And when they decide to roll this out, they need to look up the step up care and look at that self-management is essential part of it. And if we get to that point that we get strategies within our communities and our problems, I think we'll still be say, what about the self-management, which comes in our peer support and comes in everything that people need to do, these movement things, everything they need to do to live with this disease. I think we're still going to have problems. I don't mean to be pessimistic, but I think it's a huge lack of knowledge and a huge lack of commitment and having these real provincial pain champions.
I'm sitting there thinking, do we need to do there's like in our little network, it's pretty worldwide. Do we need to do a little, because everything's evidence-based, etc. But do we need to do some sort of worldwide, network-wide program for patients and gather the evidence there that, those that didn't go to self-management versus those who did, and say, oh, look, here's the evidence, sort of thing, I know, I mean, I know in the medical sector, everything seems to, there's people write papers for this, that, and the other, and it's all about evidence based. But I mean, I did all I did. I mean, going back years now, when I first joined the NHS, and this program we were on, the expert patients program, we were really late in. I think it was about a year in before someone said, "Oh, I think we need to evaluate what we're doing," And but I don't know. I was because I've been exposed to you guys, like Jerry and other healthcare professionals. I knew that gathering evidence was vital, so I'd actually started to do some evidence stuff myself, and I just used a simple questionnaire, and so people that when people went on the program, on a self-management program, they got one to do one prior to the program and one after, and then one 6 months later on. And to my surprise, that I know it's struggling getting in for that evidence, but the amount of people that actually did reply in those pre, post, and 6 months later, and the evidence that come back is that since going on the program, the reduction to see a GP had reduced, ending up in A&E or ER, the accident emergency, that had vastly reduced, and to my surprise, even the reliance on medication had reduced as well. We didn't advocate about stopping medication. We just said, just throw it in as the need to take medication reduced or not, So in that first year of us running courses in our little area of Essex, I was really surprised how effective this course was, because I knew at some point in the future, if it's to have legs, as I call it, keep on moving. Those who do commission health, they're going to want to see it when they get round to doing England-wide the review or evaluation, etc. You know, with what's known. It was all very one-sided because the it was I think it was trying to get how they went about getting engaging with patients was a bit random, and then the evidence tilted towards one side of the country more than the other, like, you know. So I don't think the evidence there was based quite solid. Um, but it's how do we get, you know, going back to it's how do we change minds, you know. I know, you know, it starts at the top. I know the politicians are being lent on, but you know, as like you say, you need Virginia says we need a champion in healthcare, but I don't know, do we? And I mean, they're very few and far between, you know. So, what is there? Is there a formula, a magic way? Not I want to say, I don't know, magic way is the wrong word, but are we missing something? I guess, you know, are we missing a trick here? Like, how do we go about getting involved? I mean, if that thing that had come off with the World Health Organization, it's funny enough, the guy who, when we did approach the World Health Organization, he kept saying that they were doing some stuff with IAS. And then, so then I started to engage with the guy there, but he went off the boil. But then I bumped into him in Amsterdam at the World Congress, and I was saying to him, yeah, he was in the coffee line, you know. So I didn't whip into him, but I was, you know, why didn't you reply to me, sort of thing, you know. And then you know, I just said to him, you know, we got to move down the self-management route. I said people need to, you know, they need to move on. And he totally agreed with me, but I just think it's that perhaps they get too much information thrown at them, they go and engage with everything. But so how do we change minds? You know, how do we where do we get the funding from? You know, etc. Because to me, you know, when I do talk to healthcare, I've talked to healthcare professionals and commissioners in the past. They say they haven't got the time, etc. And I get that. And as you say, Virginia, we are complex people. Because you know, as the evidence says, that after 3 months, people with long-term pain, other issues start kicking in. It actually supersedes the pain itself, like sleep problems and work problems, work family problems, like you know, poor mobility. Mainly all that I call it the head stuff starts kicking in, like, you know, depression and whatnot. And that's where all the complex. That's why we become very complex, like, you know. And that's why I always say getting in first. And I mean, I pulled off a quote from. I use it now. I use it now in my presentations. As I'm doing a talk on Tuesday to university in London on Tuesday night, and I read it again today. I was going through the slides, and it was from MyAsp. And in this, when they're talking about self-management, they're talking about introducing self-management prior prior to seeing the GP, like, you know, it's get in other words, getting him, you know, it's got to be mainstream sort of thing, like, you know. Jerry, you got your hand up.
I think I've said this before, and I want to continue. And I love everything that was presented before, because I don't disagree with anything. The only thing I want to add, and you know, I had this realization in my own profession. I've been in this profession for 30 years. I believe I believe there's parallel things that need to occur, right? I don't think it's an either or thing, Pete. I think it's these like lanes in a freeway, right? We have to decide what happens, right? What needs to happen on the policy side. But at the same time, I believe there's this lane over here that we in healthcare tend to forget about, which is the person with the diagnosis, the person in pain. And we all know generally when we're buying things, words of people like us who are purchasing or doing other things, we're more invested in that than any other person, right? You know, you see a paid ad, you're like, so what? You still want to talk to someone. So I believe I believe we impede, right? You're the perfect example of this. We undervalue the people with the actual diagnosis, right, in healthcare. Here in the state, and by the way, we all talk about new governments. You all know what we're facing in 4 fucking days. So yeah, you guys want to talk about a fucking change?
Well,
Yeah.
steady, oh,
Oh,
steady.
yeah, right. Oh boy. So
He's back.
oh, it's well, and by the way, I'm going to say this is the reason why we can't wait for policy and we can't wait for politics. And it's not who's coming in, it's the fact that everybody on here talks that there's been a change recently. And is so we could do all this work policy wise, and then these people shift out. And then it's like, what? So I'm going to go back to my point. We need to get, like Pete, I'm hearing you did this survey. We need to have everybody who took that survey, they need to be educated because we've been told in the States when we go to Washington, D.C., so right, the federal level, one person. So when I walk in the door and say, hi, my name's Jerry Durham, I live in your district, I represent to that person 9 votes, right? So if we had a group of people writing in, right, again, think about word of mouth. Someone, I go in going, send me more people so I can make money, right? The patient goes in and goes, you need to help people more like me. Well, that's still 9 people, but I'm going to argue that that person is far more valuable walking into the room than me with my vested interest. So my whole take here, and all I'm going to say here is there needs to be this silo of more the very what I never really knew what the word grassroots meant, right? A grassroots movement, but this is it. It's got to be on the street. Here's the other statement I want to go to real quick. Politics is local, and now they're proving healthcare and health is local. So I believe, right, as we talk about this bigger picture, but how do we get all of us individually within our communities? And how do we engage in our community? Because what I'm learning about here in the States, especially with healthcare, a lot of people showing, right, that you can go into your community as a physio and other thing and make these big changes. And now with social media and everything else, right, the impact is bigger because everybody gets to see the success. So it's not like we have to walk to DC and ask for permission to do it. People are being successful in their community with these changes in the way they're delivering care and making a bigger impact because everybody around. So locally and having more of the people we want to serve, I'll say, in involved in this. And when we put them in programs, we also almost need to be training them on how to be right active in the policy side. And all I mean by active is mailing in letters, making phone calls, right? Not getting up and making a trip by any stretch. But you right, the community event, Virginia, you said in your province, right? In my opinion, I'd be like, I don't care how many healthcare people are in the room. I'd want everybody in the room to be someone with pain, right? If it was a heart show, I wouldn't want a bunch of heart surgeons and heart providers. I'd want everybody with some kind of cardiac diagnosis in the room. That to me is the impact to be made. So that's where I really believe I've been harping on my profession for years to change the way we do advocacy. Nobody's listened, but I'm like, let's bring in people. Let's bring in the people we serve and let's let them go to Capitol Hill, we call it, with us and talk to the, and talk to these people. So that's where I believe it has to happen, parallel to all the other stuff.
Engaging the voters. Yeah, the vote, people vote for local government and national government. Yeah.
And by the way, here in the US, we showed, and I don't, you guys probably didn't see some of the same breakdowns, but you ought to see how some of the communities who voted for our next president voted exactly the opposite in their communities when it came to the local government, Pete. So again, saying it's local, right? That politics are local, change comes local, that everybody's going, yeah, I want this guy in DC, but oh my God, in my community, I want these different people. It was pretty interesting. And to me, is proof of this statement, just that all politics is local, right? People care more about their community than they really do that upper level. So that's where we can bring about that change.
Wow.
So make changes in our communities, right?
Yeah, good points, Jerry. Good stuff. I'm sitting here thinking, right, already my brain's going into gear thinking, right, what do I need to do? Then I'll draft up a letter and, engage the local communities and whatnot. Yeah.
Well,
And
and you
that,
have all those people that filled out the surveys, Pete. And I see you mentioning your surveys and more people. And I believe these are the right voices, in my opinion.
So you need to get
These are
everybody
the
on board.
people.
Yeah.
sorry, Virginia.
I said you need to get everybody on board. Then is what you're saying, Jerry. Like everybody in the communities, everybody not like if you get everybody doing those surveys, everybody's done that survey, share it. Yeah, big impact.
I listen to the voters, don't I? Because they want to keep their jobs.
Well, and that's what I love, right? If you know that everybody's worth one vote, then you just collected 90 people, 100 people. That's a lot of votes, right? You know what I mean?
Mm. Yeah, I like that one. Yeah. Yeah, it's got me wheels spinning there, Jerry.
Yeah, I think everything that's all I think that's all really true and interesting and really good to think about. But I also really liked what you'd said there, Mary, before about, in terms of like that's really we're a very disparate but passionate and enthused group of clinicians or people with pain and clinicians all around the world. And then our various countries and governments and systems of power and everything else are all very different. And the way they all work is very different. So to provide something unified that will work in the same countries is going to be challenging. But maybe part of what we could do as well is what Mary had suggested. And like maybe there is some mileage to be had in trying to encourage that global health literacy, health care at a young age, getting back into schools, getting back into just everybody thinking about how they look after themselves, not to say that we give up on those people who are already living with chronic pain and who are already living with chronic conditions, because obviously we've got to keep trying to engage them and encourage them. But actually, if we can get people to invest in schools and in education of people at a societal level, that actually looking after your own body, looking after yourself, understanding what the importance of movement is at an early age, understanding the importance of, modifying your activities, pacing your activity, whatever those things might be, to do all the things that we know people need to do to look after their bodies, and helping children to understand a bit more, because we don't learn as much about healthcare of our own bodies as we used to.
Well, I've been banging that drum ever since I was listening. I went up to a talk in Norfolk. I can't remember now. It was many years ago when I was still in the NHS, and I was listening to a lady there, and she said something that struck a chord with me. I think I've spoken about this before. She um, she said about getting involved. She asked the question to the audience: how did the recycling revolution start? And she said, everybody's thinking, oh, yeah, how did it start? And it started apparently in the schools. They got the kids involved with recycling. They then went back and then taught their parents, and then I'm standing there thinking to myself, well, why can't we do that the same in healthcare, where um, self-management, not just pain management, but supported self-management. Why, as you said, Mary, why can't we teach that in schools, so that there's so the kids learning lifelong skills, and then in turn they go home and teach their peers, like their family and parents, etc. And I did approach a couple of teacher people I know that are in the teaching game, and they said, "Oh God, our curriculums are rammed now." They said it's another thing, so they see it as another thing to do. But again, see, do we need to train up people to even do that? To teach, like as you said, back in the day, there were health and what do you call it, Mary? Yeah, basic.
We used to call it health and hygiene. It was just once a week. It doesn't have to be a great big thing like my grandson did a few years ago. He said, Grandma, I'm doing an assignment and it's on idiopathic juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. Well, every time he talked about it, he used that whole terminology. It was so funny. And he was like 11 or something. And it doesn't have to be like that. It's just like it's little snippets here and there that they will then take back to the family. And then the health literacy, like things, what is diabetes, for example? And did you know there's 2 different sorts? And did you know there's a thing called chronic pain? There's a million different things. What should we do? How many times should we shower a week? Little things, just little snippets. If they start young enough, by the time they finish school, if you think about 2 snippets a week in 20 minutes or something,
I agree.
adds up.
I was just going to say it'll help with the stigma around pain too.
Yeah.
Kids
Yes.
up that
And any other condition, because
illnesses.
any chronic condition has often got stigma associated with it, because people think, oh, well, get over it, and because they can't see it,
Yeah. Sorry, Virginia, was you saying something, Virginia?
No, just that it would help with the stigma. I was just saying, teach them about these illnesses, and it'll help the kids that are in high school and junior high or turnout, and they can't be at things, for their friends to understand that people live with these pains. Kids are struggling socially too when they can't be there, and because being judged and stigmatized.
And with diabetes, they have to wait. They can't sleep in, for example. And I don't think that a lot of their friends would understand that. But if there was some small snippets of information that have been given to them from when they were like 8 or 9 years old, just onwards, they'd get it when they come across a 12-year-old mate that's got type 1 diabetes and they have to deal with it. They get it. They'd sort of think, oh, we learned about that somewhere. These things we learn, I think they just pop into your head. I don't think we ever forget anything, really. It just sort of, the little things that pop into your head. I'll often say to my husband, he thinks I'm an idiot, because I'll often say, don't you remember that we learned that in year 9 physics? No. But you do. You just retain things. I think you do anyway.
Hey, Dave, I don't want to wake you up there, but what's your thoughts on it?
I don't think there's anything new to add of what's already been said. I think the key bit is the self-management before seeing the doctor, because I think if you go to the doctor or you go to your medical professional already in the mindset that you want to drive the conversation, or at least have some level of control over it rather than being a passive participant, then you'll get more out of it. How you do that, I don't know. I was talking to a colleague at work this week who lives with persistent pain, and was talking about the pain toolkit and stuff, and he was talking about how the doctors couldn't diagnose what was wrong with him, so he went off and did his own research and went back to the doctors. So there are people out there that will do the research and find things, but for something where there's a hope that there might be a cure, trying to change that mindset that you can do stuff above and beyond what you're getting from the medical profession is probably where we need to go. But I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
I think that someone, well, I mean, it's more than just me on the inside, but as someone on the inside, it's interesting about what Dave just said. I've tried to push a lot of Pete's content out. And it's always interesting, like the LinkedIn one, I think I pushed out yesterday, Pete. When I typed that out as a healthcare provider going, you need to meet Pete. Hey, people, you need to meet Pete. And it was, you need to meet Pete. He's not a healthcare provider. Pete has lived with chronic pain. And I'm not trying to read this like it's a 5th grade book, by the way, because I wrote it a little better than this. But it was Pete leads a group of self-management. If you are a healthcare provider or you are someone with pain, you need to know Pete. And I swear to God, Dave, on what you just said, that it's not that I can leverage this, but I think, again, this is like, what are these tracks we move down? I think you will find healthcare providers that would be happy, as we find in here, to push this forward. So I think there's validity in a healthcare provider pushing it. Yet again, back to my original statement, at the same time running parallel is someone's face, right? Going, I've suffered, however they want to put it, and I apologize, but I have chronic pain. I've had chronic pain for 20 years, right? Self-management is something you need to consider. I think, again, looking at the psychology of marketing and sales and all that, far more powerful than, again, coming from someone like me. And Dave, that's the way I think we don't do it well enough. I'm always telling people, your clients' testimonials need to be front and center on your website, and all the providers put a picture of themselves on their fucking website. But sorry, I'm cussing a lot. But because it's useless. It's useless. And I'm like, but someone's saying, hey, I had this problem. I had this problem. I had this experience is far more powerful than me going, come see me. I can fix you. I really, truly believe this has to be part of a big solution here. And for what Dave said too, to get people to go, don't go to your doctor. And by the way, I think we're living in the right time. I think we're at a tipping point here. We're right 5 years ago telling people don't go to your doctor. 10 years ago, I think we're at a day and age when people are more prepared to hear that, more prepared for that conversation.
Jerry, the People in Pain Network, our peer support groups, we are the basis of what we do is Pete's, we've got the Canadian Pain Toolkit, but that's what it is. It's self-management. And that's been it for a long time. And when we get our people together, this is what it is. They like to be with each other in connections and learning and about self-management. And people want to embrace this. They just haven't got the resources or the other people to connect with to do it. There's a lack of awareness of what is out there.
We've got the same thing, Virginia. We have people who come and they just love to be able to do it together because they're comfortable. No one's judging them. But we had a man recently who I bumped into in the passage, and he said, oh, I know you. And I said, yes, I know you too, because we hadn't seen him for years. And he came in and he sat down and he said to everyone, well, because he was one of the biggest success stories. He started out reading a book outside for 5 minutes. I think he would have been in his 40s. And by the time he finished, he was painting the house with his wife. It was just awesome, his progress. And he came back and he said, I thought I'd better pop back because I've had a bit of a setback lately. And so, he wanted to be with the people again who could help and who he could talk to. And I think there needs to be more of that. And as a consequence, one of our pain units has started. I actually used to tell one of the doctors there for years he should be doing this, and he'd shake his head and I'd say, yes, you should. Anyway, finally they did it, and they put, I started doing it, but I got too busy, so I suggested a couple of other people, and they go in there at their information day and they give a sort of a 10-minute talk on how they've benefited from the self-management strategies and this and that. And apparently it's working very well. They have got less people not turning up, more people opting in to attend the clinic and see the multidisciplinary nature of the clinic and see whoever they deem to be necessary. And apparently it's working better. So it's not ideal. I mean, it never will be. You still get a lot of people who don't come. And you can never work out why someone has their name on a list for a year or so, although now it's not so long. But it was. And then when their time comes, they don't go. You can never figure that out, can you? Especially if you've got pain 24/7. I would be champing at the bit at the front door before it opened. But yeah, it works quite well, I think.
Well, this conversation, this first part of the conversation is moving really well on to the second part. I thought it would be useful to have a chat about or discuss, and that is this. I talked to Keith about myself and Keith. We've been meeting quite a week every Sunday now for the last couple of weeks for I'm in the meeting again because of the conference coming up. But I think it was about November time. I was what I do. I've got a bit of a routine now. I go down. I'm not a big fan of the hamster wheel at the gym. So after I've done my stuff at the gym, I tend to have a walk down to the railway station, buy a nice cup of coffee down there, and watch people go to work and stuff like into London and whatnot. But anyway, I was sitting there one day and I was sort of thinking about the conference and who's speakers like Jerry's brothers this year, and I was like this thing it's like you say, Jerry, something we're at a crossroads, something's bubbling under. I mean, from where we were 20, 30 years ago, and 10 years ago, it feels we're not quite Captain Kirk stuff, but there's an underlying conversation going on. It's a little bit covert at the moment, but and I said to myself, why don't we so we got the actual conference on the Friday, or the Saturday, well, Saturday morning for us, North America be the 7th, on the 7th. And so why don't we just, sorry about my Star Trek thing, but boldly go where no others have gone before. And actually, why don't we have a supported pain self-management week? And I said, I just wrote a message to Keith and say, because he thinks, he thinks I'm a bit bonkers sometimes. I said, well, you went to this, and he went, yeah, let's do it. And so hence this idea to be to our knowledge, we don't know of any we're not trying to be the first in things, but we keep racking the bone on. So we've not come across a dedicated pain self-management week to get people involved really. And it's not about what we're doing what we see as the conference is perhaps the finale of the week, but it's about getting the organisations to what are they going to be doing to get the word out there, to expand on pain self-management, etc. And so far we've got at the moment I think the Australian Pain Society, they're sharing a lot of our information we're putting out, but I think Pain Canada or is it Pain Canada or is it the Canadian Pain Society?
I
I
think it
think
was Pain Canada that I seen it through. I
yeah,
think
I
so.
think they're doing something, and the South African Pain Society, they're actually getting big, really doing big stuff I think myself and Keith, they've asked us to do a little talk during the week. They're going to be asked us questions and stuff like that. So they're getting involved. And also Chronic Pain Australia, they just kicked in and doing stuff. And I know Virginia, you're getting involved, aren't you, Virginia? You're doing stuff.
Absolutely, we're promoting
Yeah,
it in our groups, but we want to
yeah,
promote widely, which we'll have to talk
yeah.
about.
But people say, well, what do we need to do? We've sort of posted stuff on there. I've sent the link out and some ideas what you can do. But it's not doing big stuff. It's just sharing, if you see a post about self-management or the week, or with the hashtag now is um, I'll be promoting it more now. But even if you're just tweeting about even what you do as an individual, or whether you're a big organisation, small organisation, if you just post a few things that week, using that hashtag, make people, it makes aware, for me, giving people becoming aware of supportive self-management, etc. So I'm really, well, we'll be interested in how it all spans out, expands out, etc. But it's just I'm just because I'm constantly thinking of ways on how do we expand, on getting the information out there, and I think because I always see us those that work in supported pay management, we're a very small family still, really. I think there are probably people out there working in silos and stuff like that. But it's about extending our family, getting us all involved. But again, giving supported pain self-management, that sort of exposure. So I thought I'd ask you guys what you're up to, what you're hoping to get out of the week, etc.
Good question, Keith. And I haven't put a lot of thought into it, but I think what I'd like to see get out of the week is people become more aware of the role of self-management with around chronic pain, persistent pain. I think people just aware of what is out there and what resources are out there for them.
Mm-hmm.
I've shared it to our group Facebook page. We're at a bit of a disadvantage because, as I said, we're in a bit of a recess at the moment, but I'll continue to do that. I'll do it again and send it to our participants. Apart from that, I'm not sure that we can do a lot, but we certainly can try. I don't know if I can think of anywhere else to put it, I will. Because I think it's really important that people take part. And now that Chronic Pain Australia has got on board with it, I think that's really excellent because that doubles the exposure straight away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about asking your people, Jerry come up with early on, writing, perhaps we could draft up I'm thinking already, draft up like a letter, just a short letter to send to their MP or a politician, etc. Like, if they just email them or whatever, but just a short one. It just takes 2 minutes to do, like, if it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just things like
I can't do that at the moment because our health minister is an absolute. Our local health minister has had some nasty emails from both me and Anita recently, so about another matter, which has got nothing to do. Not to do with chronic pain, but to do with other part. I can't really talk about it. And
I know I'm in the right place. I'm so glad you guys helped me to understand.
She went for the jugular. You've never seen anything like it. Anyway, so I won't put my name on it because that would be bad. But I'll certainly try and encourage our people to put their names on it, and that would be really good. Yes.
Yeah. Do it cover, use another name.
That's the point.
Real quick, if you put a letter like that together, share it with me because what I want to do is then use, because I'll send it out to other healthcare providers to say, look, I know you work with people with chronic pain. Can you please, make sure that you're aware of this, your patients, your clients are aware of this, and also here is some information that they can use to drive, right? So make sure, because I think, again, we can attack this from multiple lanes, right?
Jerry,
we've got 3 pain clinics I could send it to.
Yeah, that's on my to-do list over the weekend. It'll be in your email boxes by Monday morning.
Yep. Great.
I found it just keep it simple, and they're not going to read like pages of it. It's just 2 or 3 paragraphs, etc. I think what I found when I worked in the NHS, it was a bit of a struggle. It was sometimes it stifled innovation, but people I work with, they were really good at stuff, and they always said avoid the you messages. You don't do this, you're not doing that. But ask things, would it be useful if we did this? So it's a we thing, rather than you've got to do something, because the you messages is too personal sort of thing. You're not doing enough, and they're thinking, well, I don't do anything. I can't do everything. But I think, and also it's the letters have got to be in a style like you're writing a press release. The who, why, what, where, when. I think that they call it the 5 Ws. Who you are, what you do. But I think when you're writing a press release or making suggestions, it's not they've got to come up with the ideas. Is come up. We've got to include this suggestions like what can happen like so it's they haven't got to, it's we're reporters apparently they especially with deadlines they haven't got time to sit there and research and stuff but just to you got to write the press release for them sort of thing as they say but just keep but to if you're writing to political types or decision makers as well is coming up with the solutions rather than they know there's a problem. These are the solutions that you need to be you consider be doing like yeah I'll do that over the weekend. So look, you've had enough already. Are you all fit ready for the conference, Jerry? Are you looking forward to it?
Oh, I'm always an opportunity to speak, Pete. I've never backed down from one of those. No, but I appreciate you nudging me on what I think I responded to the email. I'd love to. What do you want me to talk about? I did that paper last year with some other really good people, Maxi Michek, David Poulter, and oh my God, I don't know how to say his last name. Sorry. On that paper about the nocebo effect of the teams in healthcare. So, right, I'm really trying to leverage that whole side of it from the front desk, right, Pete? So that's what I want to bring to this, and maybe
Yeah,
whether it's a healthcare provider listening or a person who's going to be using the system or in the system, I want the person using the system to expect more and ask for more. And then I want the people running the system to understand that they have a bigger impact through their front desk teams, and it's not just the provider. So that's going to be my theme of that high level, Pete, and just continue that conversation from where I feel
yeah,
I have, where my voice is valuable in that side. Because I want people in the system, using the system, to know that they should expect more from the people,
yeah,
including the front desk, right? All team members. Yeah, it's
yeah,
pretty interesting. That paper came together and you look at the bibliography of the impact
yeah,
in, 15 minutes with a doctor. I'm like, well, what happens the other 23 hours and 45 minutes of the day, right?
yeah,
My God, we give a little too much credit to that person with the initials at times, right? Where the team's destroying it, right? The experience with the front desk, the billing process, and people go, just forget it. And they may be on the right path, right? So that's what I want to speak to.
mm.
Pete, why
I,
don't you remind us when the conference is? Remind our audience.
it'll be
February.
it's 2 o'clock in the morning starts for us, but I don't in North America. I'm not sure on your side of Canada, but it's 2 a.m. UK time, and yeah, so yeah, we've got good balance of speakers. With
It's the 8th here.
sorry,
It's the 8th here.
8 o'clock
So
in the
I'll be the
morning. Yeah,
7th there.
yeah. I
Just to
think if you
remind our audience.
go to one of those clock converters, I think it's I think it's a couple of I can't remember. You can't go. I can't remember all the listings and stuff like that. But we've got same again, same format with 3 healthcare professionals and 3 self-managers, and but little mini breaks in between, etc. This how this come around. Pain Toolkit Conversations. But yeah, I've got a good balance really, so from around people. Um, so yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to it because so much going on. Obviously, we've got Grainne there, who's going to be taking all the questions, and Dave doing all the techie stuff. So only if anything goes a bit bonkers, so myself and Kate we can just sort of concentrate on doing the presentations, introducing people and things, Just before we get, I don't know if you guys know, we started up myself and me and Dave, who's here, we was having a chat on Christmas. We always have our Christmas Day chat, don't we, Dave?
Yep.
And we about May last year we launched the and Katie, as you know, Katie Neptune, we started the Pain Toolkit Academy, and mainly for we put a course together for healthcare professionals because it's that old problem again of healthcare professionals saying, "Why didn't I learn this in medical school? Why,
Mm.
blah blah blah." So we just sort of again is trying to fill that gap that's there, that chasm, and that's been quite successful. But me and Dave were talking about it over on Christmas Day, and you, Dave, didn't you see? You come up, you said, "Come on in, let's do the patient one." So
Yeah.
Dave's been busy converting, making and put together from using stuff from the Pain Toolkit booklet, etc., and the website. So we're going to be launching a course, the patient course on um, during the week, like of the it was the 3rd to the 8th.
We're launching it on the 3rd, hopefully, because that's the dates we've been telling people. So
Yeah,
if we're late, it's going to be embarrassing.
yeah. So Dave's been beavering away, done a hell of a lot of work on it. Looks great, and they've got all quizzes on it, a lot of videos, and pretty in it. What the good thing about it is it actually mirrors what healthcare professionals have, the actual healthcare professional course itself as well. So it's ideal. So when the healthcare professionals learn about self-management and they start teaching, they want to teach the patients, the patients can go on to their course, and so there's another fuller understanding as well. And it's super affordable. Like we've kept it really low cost. I don't know what it is in dollars. In sterling, it's um, 15 pounds. We got obviously we like to make everything free, but the main thing with the Pain Toolkit Academy, it's a non for profit organisation. So any monies we do get from it, it will pay for the platform, but enables us to go on and do other stuff as well to devise other courses, perhaps for particular uh, painful conditions, and also it translate into different languages, etc. But and they're not cheap as well. So as I say, it's a non for profit organisation, and so it's super affordable, and it's not about it's not about making money, but it's just make it pay its way, like. So we're looking forward to that, and already, um, what was that thing you did, Dave, where it's they could look at the agenda, but they couldn't sign up. What was it thing you called it?
It's in a preview or something. I don't
That's
know,
it. Yeah,
or pre-release or something. So if
yeah.
anyone is keen and eager, go to the site now and take advantage of the discounted pricing for the early launch.
There you go. Look,
Is it a 1 day thing or several
no,
days?
it's like
A
a long
man
course.
after my own heart there, Dave. Nice
Thank
one.
you. I'm learning. It takes a while.
Virginia, it's a course that they do on their own, but there's going to be uh, we'll also have a community involved as well. There's something the course they do is they're like the healthcare professional. There's one they do on their own, so they can do it in their own time. But there'll also be opportunities for like people like myself and Dave to do live, one of these like live. So if they've got any problems at all, we can, because we want to build up a little community in there as well. And I was thinking of what to call it last weekend. And I come up with then I was running it by Dave, like it's called a community called Buddies. So like they become like pain management buddies sort of thing, like because
Mm.
it's people. I think people learn from each other, like they can. It's like when I always used to say when I was teaching people to drive, you're learning the basics, like how the car goes forward, how to make it go forward, left and right, backwards. But I think once you pass your test, then I think the real learning starts off, like when you start doing things on your own, like but it'll be there. The support will be there if they need it, because so I always think pain management, self-management. It's a a little term I learned years ago. Little saying, it's a bridge to normal living. It's getting back on track and back in the driving seat, as I always say. So people, there was a life before persistent pain sort of thing, So it's just getting people back there, go and try if they can get back to doing things they used to, but even move on from that and do different things, So yeah, so we're really excited about we've had a couple of people join already. One lady, I don't know. I said, "Well, how do you know about this?" She said, "Oh, I just saw it from one of the something on YouTube." And I thought, "Well, I haven't put anything on YouTube," but anyway, she's really excited. She lives with fibromyalgia, and she's emailed me a few times now. She can't wait to get on the course and stuff But we made it. It's not just sitting there reading. There's sections in there for lessons, Dave. In there, do you want to plug up what you've been doing, Dave?
Yeah, it's a mixture of bits of text to read. We've even put some little pictures in there to brighten it up a bit, because otherwise it gets a bit dull looking through, reams of text. Each section's only about a page long, so you can take it in short, sharp segments. There's some videos in there. We will get subtitles eventually. The auto subtitles for the way that Pete and I and Katie speak are appalling. So we've had to pull those because the words that Katie gets called are not always printable in a public family newspaper when it picks up Pete's accent.
Oh, this
Do
is
with
awesome.
ethics, apparently.
This is just awesome. I love
Here we
this.
go.
Um,
You need
and
the
there's
translate
quizzes.
to English button on there is what you need.
The what, sorry?
The translate to English button by
Yeah,
the time you
definitely.
three get
Yeah.
through.
I'm not that bad, am I?
We got the pacing game in there. We've got quizzes. We've got links to the conference recordings, the digital booklets. I think that's about it. I can't remember anything else. There's a couple of cases. There's a bit about my recovery as well in there, just so that there's sort of lived experience, sort of in bit of detail. We've got a few other stories in there that aren't quite in the right place yet, but they'll be rearranged by the time we go live. So yeah, it should be good. I think Grainne, you're in there again, so
Oh
get
yeah,
your moment in the sun again.
yeah.
I think we basically copied the video from the healthcare professional one across.
Oh, about medication.
I think it was that one. Yeah, there was something in there that you're in. So
It's
Fair
just
enough.
keeping it simple, really, and um, it's not it's not the panacea. It's just to get people back on track, because I think once they get back on track, to build up their confidence, is then they can go into other things, try other stuff, But it's not go on a course and or I've seen the light, you know. It's it's just it's basic stuff based around the 5 key skills that people, other self-managers have found useful over the years. So yeah, so we're looking forward to that, launching that during that week.
Pete, can you put that in the email on Monday? Can you put a link to that and put it specifically, bear with me here, pain toolkit for what patients, people,
Yeah, yeah.
what do you call it? What do you call it?
Just it's like a pain toolkit course for people living with pain.
Okay. Yeah, pain tool. Yeah. Yes, correct. For
Yeah,
people
just
that put that because I'll share that also
I'll put
right
that
as
in
as
there.
a number.
Yeah.
yeah, the course title is Supported Pain Self-Management, apparently.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And put that in the email on Monday, Pete, and I'll start
Yeah,
running it
sure.
out for next week.
Yeah, but and the other thing as well, if what would be really helpful, where if you see any, we're sort of cranking up the profile on the actual week itself. But if you see any of the posts to actually share, don't just like it, but to share it with your colleague, within your networks, so they get to, well, what's this about, And say we've got the agreed on the hashtag now, so that people will be able to follow us during that week, and using that hashtag, they'll be able to see what's going on and what other people are doing, because we're, you know, I don't, I don't come. I see things. I get inspired by listening to things, seeing things, etc. I think, oh, that sounds interesting. That'd be really useful, you know. So it's all about learning from each other, really. You know, it's not. I don't wake up in the morning and think, oh yeah, that is the cool answer. No, I think I see things and I think things that are not pain related, but I see things and I'm thinking, well, I'll nick that idea and tweak it around to pain self management, like, you know. But as ever with what we do, it's, you know, what works is the simple stuff. It's not the intellectual sort of stuff. And when I'm over doing, you know, writing things, I'm always thinking about what will the person in the street understand, you know, not I don't really know a lot of posh words, but you know, like the university type words, I will call them, you know. It's because to me, it's about what we do. It's about aiming at people in the street, and that's how we build, build communities. Like, because I was talking. I think, was it you, Grainne, yesterday, or was it you, Dave? I can't remember now. But when someone in the early days of the Pain Toolkit, I didn't notice that they were doing it, but a pain management program where they gave all the booklets out to patients, all the ones written by healthcare professionals and stuff like that. And the one they preferred the most was the Pain Toolkit, because it was apparently I've got a reading age of 12. You know, it was just an easy read, like, you know, and it just got to the point, and it was giving basic information, etc. Like, you know.
Oh, 100%.
Well,
I mean, information resources that are written by healthcare professionals are notoriously not as useful, because we use words that we're over, even if we try and, you know, sort of simplify it down, we use words that just are very familiar to us, and we like to show off what our knowledge and understanding is, and we like to give lots of detail, and we forget to just keep things really simple. So yeah, people do respond very much more to the Pain Toolkit. I did a quick Google search actually while we were there, just to Googled pain, you know, self-management, pain support, you know, supported self-management. The Pain Toolkit still comes up there as like number 1 or 2 on the Google search. Yeah. If you put in self-management, pain self-management, Pain Toolkit comes up. And then the versions of the Pain Toolkit then being used in various NHS organisations and others all around the world. So, I mean, it's the name and the brand is really still there and still in the, you know, it's what comes up when people look for it. So, you know,
that's interesting.
What's holding people back from really, well, apart from the fact that people want to use stuff for nothing, don't they? They want to use stuff and not have it cost them any money, really.
I can remember years ago, it was something to do with, I think when I did the Stanford training, I do believe it came up in that about everything that is written should be at age 12 reading level.
Yeah.
That just goes to show where we are in the world, people, because they say in America, you have to write it for a 5th grade level, Mary. So I just want everybody to know, here in the States, we say you have to write it for a 5th grade level. So
And
just in
how
case you
old
all
are
want
you,
to feel
Grace?
better about yourselves today, there you go. You're killing. When
Gee,
you said
that's
that, I
like,
went,
is that 9 or 10 or something?
literally 5th grade is what they say in the States. You got to write for
But
it.
I've
I
heard.
think they're about 9 in 5th grade here, or not, but they turn 10 perhaps in 5th grade. Yeah.
I don't know what age. What age would that be in the US then, Jerry? 5th grade?
Oh, Lord have mercy. Are you kidding me? I can barely keep
9, 10.
track of my age. Is it 9 or
It'd be
10?
about the
Thank you.
same.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I reckon it'd be about the same, wouldn't it? Don't they all start around 5 or 6?
Yeah, 4 or
Yeah,
5.
yeah, yes, Mary. Yeah. So it's about the same. So that's pretty sad. Well, sad for me. So you guys can all leave here feeling better about it.
I don't think it's implying that everyone reads at that age level, but I think
No, but still,
it covers
I guarantee you
everyone.
here it implies everybody reads at this age. We have lost everything. In the year of 2025, we have nothing to stand on anymore. So I'll just
That's why I like working with Pete, because my background's maths, so it's spelt with two F's, and that means that when I write stuff, it's probably lower than Pete's level, and he has to drag me up to the right level.
I love it.
I think we've got to remember, when we're developing materials for people with pain or people with long-term conditions, that our attention span is pretty poor, like, because of the where if you're, say, a pain or healthcare long-term health condition, it's always grabbing your attention, like, for some one reason or another, but with pain, like, you can't sit for too long, stand for too long. Some sort of always something going on, fatigue. So it's to it's keep the information simple and keep it in bite-sized pieces sometimes, like the useful sayings, keep it simple, easy does it, just things like that. They're the things that people will remember throughout their recovery, sort of thing. Like, another thing I'm always trying to push on is the prehab. We seem to be constantly firefighting all the time,
Hmm.
and to get more into prehab. What can we do, while people are waiting for us to see their pain doctor or pain nurse or whoever, is what can they be doing in the meanwhile, like, So I think, that sometimes, I mean, we did, I think we did adapted a Pain Toolkit back in 2023, called the Rehab Pain Toolkit. I think a lot of people got involved with that. I think me and Keith sort of co-edited it and stuff, but we had did a lot of interviews with people, etc. But I think that's another thing we need to be pushing more. Like, don't wait for don't wait for. It's like a fireman, and it's like waiting. Well, you can see smoke coming out of a house. Yeah, but it ain't. We're not going to do nothing because it ain't on fire yet. That's the sort of attitude we got. You know, and there's well, I'll wait till that person's. It feels like sometimes you've got to wait until someone's really, really in pain. If they end up in A&E or ER, wherever you are in the world, and I know we then will start taking action. The earlier we get in, going back to the school scenario sort of thing, like, start doing education in schools. Perhaps we got to put something together for that, like, so that 'cause the thing is as well, we're saying, well, let's get it in schools, but there isn't I don't think there's the expertise in the schools to actually to teach self-management. So it may be two booklets.
I put a couple of links on there. One was World Health Organizations about health promoting schools. Now, I think globally, obviously, certainly in my quick scan of it, there's a lot in the World Health Organization stuff that's obviously, you know, only a smaller percentage of the world's population are living in developed countries where there is a fully formed healthcare systems, and so there's an awful lot there about basic sort of stuff around illnesses and diarrhea-based illnesses and other sort of very things like that. But there's also, I've put in a link that I'm going to have a look at an NHS e-health thing around healthy school child. There's an NHS England thing around healthy school children. And I'm just really curious if I can access it as an NHS employee. I'm really curious to understand what, if anything, is mentioned in there about chronic musculoskeletal conditions, or is it all mainly around infectious diseases, sexual health, respiratory conditions, or stuff like that, or is there actually, it's people who are providing health in schools to kids, do they have an understanding of chronic health conditions? Do they have because there's plenty of kids living with chronic musculoskeletal conditions, chronic rheumatology conditions, they're all there, and how much support are those kids getting, and how much is that burden of chronic pain that they're living contributing to mental health issues in school as well, because they're struggling to keep up with things. So I'll let you know when I have a read of it all and see if there's anything in there we can use or adapt.
Yeah, it looks like modules 5 and 6 are going to be the interesting ones, but they don't mention pain specifically, but they do have musculoskeletal things in there, and other long-term things. So they've got something which is better, potential.
Yeah.
Well, so we wind it up here, guys. So I think Jerry's had to go, and so is Virginia. So thanks for everybody for attending, and we'll have a great pain supported self-management week, whatever you're up to. If you're watching this on the YouTube channel or the Vimeo channel, thanks for watching. And I'll also put this recording on the SoundCloud. So for those who want to listen back to the recording, if you may have a visual impairment, or you just like to have listen to information, etc. So we'll see you again on another Pain Toolkit conversation. So thank you, Mary. Thank you, Grainne, and thank you, Dave. And as they've gone, but thanks to Jerry and Virginia for joining us as well. So until next time, take care. Ciao.
Bye all.
Bye. Bye.